Hi, everyone, and welcome back to another Pickled Unscripted. As always, we've got the creative and crazy Matt the Pickled Dragon, and I'm Dracoya with Avant Art and Scale 75 USA. And today, what are we drinking, Matt? I'm drinking a pumpkin ale because it is spooky season.
Pumpkin, is it pumpkin spice or just pumpkin ale?
No, it's pumpkin ale. And I got it because I wanted to try something new and they were out of all the other beer I liked. And I gotta say it's pretty good. I normally don't like pumpkin ale. I just feel that the flavors aren't there. But this is a nice light ale. It has notes of clove and nutmeg in there, so it's very good, but it's not too sweet and it's not heavy. It's quite nice. What are you drinking?
I'm drinking Bullet as always, but I need to go up and expand my horizons a little bit. It's hard to it's hard to break from what works, it's so good. So
Yeah, I mean, when you have something that works, eventually I'm sure you'll try something new. But today we want to talk about our problem players. This is going to be part one of our problem players. And the first step is rules lawyer. But before we get into it, let's have a word from our sponsor. I'll just take the Thorm ring. Thank you very much.
Oh, like hell you will. You can have this, take the Venom Dagger. I'll take the Thorn Ring.
Venom dagger. What am I? Well, actually, that could be useful. No, wait, I'm taking the Thorm ring.
Over my dead body. I can't
believe
you would even
over your dead body. That could be a ring. I'm going to take
It's
this
my
dagger
ring,
and I'm going to
not
shove it up
yours,
your...
my ring.
Whether you are looking for truly unique rings to exchange on your wedding day, or simply a statement piece for Renaissance fair or cosplay, look no further than Thorum. Rings fit for the gods. Use promo code PICKLED for 20% off your order.
yay, Thorum.
Yay, Thorum. So we want to go ahead and talk about your first problem player and how to deal with them. We've got the rules lawyer. Everyone's seen a rules lawyer at your table. This is the person who is always arguing the rules with their DM. They're arguing the existence or non-existence of a comma. And the reason I like the rules lawyer is because sometimes I've been a little guilty of doing that. But Matt, you came up with a really good solution for the people who have rules lawyers at their table, is that if you have a discrepancy of the rules, meet after the game, not during. During the game, DM, whatever he says goes, and that's just how that is. But if you want to have a discrepancy after the game when everyone's done, sounds good. I think that's a great solution.
Yeah, there's nothing worse than breaking the momentum of a good session with an argument over rules. And like you said, well, there's a comma there. That means that changes the entire meaning of the sentence,
It can.
It can, but we'll talk about that later. So too true. So like the next one, and I think that this is something that we didn't have 20, 30 years ago, but now we contend with every single session, and that is the person who's more interested in what's going on their phones than the game. And to me, it's a little disrespectful because, as the DM, I'm the one that's put in 90%, 80% of the effort to prepare this session. If you're like me, I write all of my own homebrew stories and everything. I put in many hours of work into my campaigns. And for the person who is only willing to pay attention when it's their turn to roll dice, it's a little disconcerting. But my solution to that is fine, stay on your phone, do what you want. But I have a no coaching rule at my table. So if they're stuck in a situation where they missed an important piece of information because they weren't paying attention, well, your character was daydreaming at the time when that information was handed out. There's been so many times where they were like, what was the plan? What are we supposed to do? Well, your character's off on their own. I'm sorry, you don't know. You're going to have to wing it, my phone users, it kind of ebbs and flows, but it's always the same people. They'll get bit in the butt by not having the information they need, and they'll pay more attention for a while, and then they get back on their phones. And there's no fighting it. You can be a tyrant and say no phones at the table, but that's not really reasonable in this day and age.
Is that really going to work? They're just going to use it under the table.
Yeah, or my, I have like doctors at my table, they're on call. You can't do that, right?
Right.
And so you roll with it. You roll with it, and you just let them face the consequences. Oh, well done, well played.
So the next one that we want to talk about is the bubble player. Those are the players that are never there. If anybody has watched that old D&D movie, you had that guy Mark, who everyone talked about, but he was never there because he got a new girlfriend. And we've all got a player like that. So what I have found to be is a good solution for those players, at least with combat. When they're in combat, you can give bubble players the option to either A, not allow their player to participate in combat at all, which over a certain amount of time, after a certain amount of sessions are missed, it means that they're not going to level up at the same rate as the rest of the party. Alternatively, if they would like to continue getting that XP, then what you can have is you can have two of the players at your table make joint decisions on how that particular missing player is going to operate during combat. But here's the thing, here's the hook. If that player dies during that combat session when he's not there, that's it. Permadeath, game over. So sorry, should have shown up.
Yeah, bubble players. If you want if anyone wants a great example of a perfect representation of a bubble player, go watch the original movie, The Gamers.
That's what I'm talking about. Yes. The Gamers.
And whenever they cut to the actual action where they're playing their characters, Mark was always looking off in the distance, seeing everything.
Never there. Mark had a new girlfriend in the movie, so he was never there.
Yes. The Gamers. Watch the first one. There's a Gamers 2 called Darkness Rising. That one's pretty
good. So good.
I personally love the low production value of the first one because there's just something that endearing about it,
Yeah, they just went with it.
It's good. So the last one we're going to talk about today, again, this is part one, is cheaters. Dice cheaters, people who always seem to have the right piece of gear in their on their character sheet, even though that they didn't have 100 torches and and suddenly they're on their 101st or whatever.
Isn't that the worst? And it just takes the fun out of the game.
It does. I mean, if you've got to cheat to win, it makes you wonder if there is a kind of self-esteem thing going on, and I deal with it. I deal with it two ways. You can always go the hyper aggressive, confront the player privately. I never do it in front of the player, never embarrass somebody, but and sometimes it comes to that aggressive DM having to step in and saying, listen, I saw you rolled a 4 and you told me it was a 20. I saw you rolled a 4. You don't do that stuff, you can find other ways to pad your ego, but usually I start with a passive aggressive method. And that is, I will talk about past cheaters at my table. I'll find a segue. Maybe I'll talk to another player and say, we need to find a way to bring up the topic of cheating so that I can tell this story. Because usually everyone at the table, their eyes are looking at that person's die roll, and everyone knows when somebody's cheating. It's not a secret. For you guys out there who cheat, know that it's you're not fooling anyone. But
you're not clever. We see it.
And I will tell a story about past cheaters and how it's just sad that somebody has to cheat to feel validation in a game. You know, there's if there's no risk and there's no struggle, then how are you even having fun? It's like people who use cheat codes in video games. They're the worst, you know? And
Well, I would say that it's a little bit better if it's cheat code during video game, because then the only person you're cheating is yourself. And if you want
yeah,
to do that to you, be my guest, but don't do that to the rest of your friends. Like, come on.
yeah, I mean you are crushing the experience for everybody when the action is manipulated. But
Yes.
but then I'll have that extra player or maybe another player, and usually other players will just do this anyway. They'll all start piling on, saying, "Yeah, those cheaters, they're the worst. It ruins it, you know, the experience. It's about being there in the struggle and fighting to the bitter end and actually getting that natural 20 when you need it." You know, and one of the things I've always done is I don't even use a DM screen. I have all rolls on the table out in the open. And so it's very hard to cheat at my table anymore. But I think it's an awful thing when people do it. And I hope that you don't have to do the aggressive getting someone's, you know, getting someone's grill and say, listen, you know, this isn't cool, but because that's uncomfortable for everyone. But usually the passive aggressive story where people start piling on, you
You
know,
don't pinpoint this particular person. You just bring up this, nebulous idea of a person who's cheating, and then you let the rest of your group kind of pile on without naming any names, and that kind of scares them. Is that what I'm hearing?
it shames them, it scares them. It's, you know, it's one of those things where you can address the situation without having to call out anyone or embarrass anyone.
Right.
So, you know, those are four examples of problem players. But as you know, as any gamer knows, there are many others out there. And Jacoy and I are going to take the time and discuss a few. And we certainly didn't hold we didn't hoard our favorites for the start. There's some really juicy ones coming up in another video. So keep an eye out for that. But until then, thank you for coming in, and if you've got an example of a problem player from your table, please tell us all about it because we're interested. We love that sort of thing.
We want to hear your problem players. Give us your drama.
Yes, we love stories from the table. So, but until then, like, comment, and subscribe. And until next time, have another round on us.
Clink.
Yes. All right, good. Done.